All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Today it's 10 o'clock, Sunday, October the 29th. I'm going to get started on the euro, a couple of the dollar currencies to see what's the likelihood of this week's markets. So if you go back to about '07, really about '04, early 2000, I believe this particular top on the euro, this is a monthly chart, and at 160 it finished a 5-wave move up. You would have to go to a different Ninja Trader didn't give me that much data, but I did retrieve that data from another source. But basically, I have a 3-wave move down for here where my A is at. I have an A, B, C for B. However, this can easily be counted as a triangle, where this will be the A, this would be the B, this is the C, this is the D, and then this is the E for B. But it was difficult to count 5 waves in here. So I had the B, and then I have a 1, 2, 3, and then we have an A here, an A, B, C for B, which is an expanded flat B. And now we have a 1, 2, possibly 3, and we are currently working on wave 4. And if we are currently in wave 4, then about 114, give or take, would be the critical support level. And if it was to impulsively go through that, it is possible that wave 4 is already ended, whereas 1.382 was met at 120. 96, I think it was, on a smaller time frame. So I mean, it is possible that wave 4 is done. However, if you look at this being wave 1, actually, if this was wave 1, it had already penetrated uh, uh, basically the entered territory of wave 1. So I think I originally had my 1 here, whereas it was from a B, it was a 1, 2, 3 here, 4, 5 for 1, A, B, then C for 2. And if that was the case, then prices cannot go above 126, or else it would enter the territory of wave 1. So looking at, let's look at a weekly. And on the weekly, as you can see on my 200, this is the red line. This is a 200 moving average line. Price did find a bit of support here, and it bounced just below it. And so far I have, this is the wave 3 like I showed you on the monthly, and you can count this as 3 waves. So it is possible that you'll see another move currently from 116, but it should not go above excuse me, it should not go above 116.63. That would be a resistance, and if it as long as it does not go above 16.60, then prices should continue lower, and I'll show you that on a smaller time frame than the weekly as we move to a daily. If I can find where I put the daily, it should be right here. So this is 1, 2, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 3. I showed an alternate count last week, but that got invalidated, so I went back to my primary. Keep in mind, I've always had my primary as this is wave 4, but I was just looking at different alternatives. But in the end, this was wave 3. This is an A, this is a B, or this would be a 1, 2, and the B would be actually it would be right here, and then you would have a 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5 for 1, and then 2. So this would be 1 and then 2, and now you have a 1, another 1, 2 basically. So for the 2's here, you have a 1, 2 basically, and now you have a 1 of 3, 2 of 3. This impulsive bar is clearly a wave 3, and I don't believe that it's finished. So you should not see, like I said, price should not go. It should go more towards 1650, give or take, overnight or the next day or two, and then you would see either wave 3 complete near the levels of 1530 or so, or it will be the end of it. And the only problem with it being the end, it's possible. I've always said that wave C would end at around 1530 or so, but it does have the potential to climb or go a bit lower. It can go as close as 12, and at the end of the day, it can even go lower, because if wave 1 was even right here, it just can't enter the territory of wave 1. But if it goes more towards 108, then that's just not a 4. This will be the top, and wave 5 basically was right here somewhere, and that was the end of wave 4 on a larger time frame on WXY for 4, and now that would be 4 of C on a monthly, and now the end of wave C would be basically in progress. So just in case I confuse anyone, let's go back to the monthly, and this is the A, this is a B, and we're currently working on a 3. We've already seen, if this count is correct, we have 3 waves for wave C, and if this was the end of wave 4, well then wave C would probably go more towards 98. It has to go below this low for sure. But at 1.382 or 200%, you're looking at around 98. So that's the euro. At the end of the day, the short term has been to the upside, but the long term, clearly on a monthly, weekly, and a daily, is to the downside. So if you look at a 240, this particular 240 is a little bit difficult to count. But if wave 3 was here, you have the A. You can say the B was here, and then you have a 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 1. Then you have an A, B, C for 2, and this is all in wave C basically. And now you have a 1, A, B, C for 2, or you have a 1, 2, and then another 1, 2, which is basically 1 of 3, 2 of 3, and now you have 3 of 3, at which where 4 of 3 would go back towards 1660 or so, and then you'll have wave 5 of 3, which will most likely go near the 1530 level. And you can look at any of my videos. This 1530 level has been here on my chart for well over a month, but there is some indication showing that it could go a little bit lower than 15. So that's just that's the euro. And if you compare that to a couple of other dollar pairs, it does have a slight indication that on the long term it looks like it's to the dollar strength, but it has some temporary weakness. So if you look at the dollar CAD, I was a little over 200 something pips. It found resistance closer to 129. I raised my stop, so I've already locked in a little over 100 pips already. It was a smaller trade, but at the end of the day, it was still money. But if this is wave 5 at the top here, where the dollar was strong, then you have an A, you have a B, and then you have a 1, you have probably a 1, 2, then a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be wave 3 at the end at 120, and then this would most likely be wave 4, and then you'll see one more move for wave 5 that will most likely end somewhere about 117 or so. And if that is the case, well, then that will be wave 3, the end of wave 3, or it will basically be an ABC. So my alternate, that's why I have an A or 1, B or 2, and then you'll have 3 or C. So if it's a C and it ends at around 115, well, then you would say somewhere towards next year you'll begin dollar strength, and this top will definitely be in jeopardy. But if this is a 2, well, then you have a lot lower prices to go, and that's dollar weakness. So if you did have to compare the euro, then it would appear as if the dollar, that basically this would be a C basically, and it's possible that this is a 1, 2, this will be a 3, 4, 5 for 3 basically, and then this will be a B, C for 4, or 4 here somewhere, give or take, which will be 4 of one lesser degree, and now you'll have a wave 5, which will go will be consistent with the euro going down. Basically, the dollar CAD will be going up for one more wave above the top. That makes more sense. If it ended, let's say, at 115, well, now you will have the end of wave 4. So this will be A, B, C of 4, and now you will see a 5-wave move up to complete it. And then if you look at it like a euro, give or take next year or so, once the euro bottoms out at 98, this tops out at 150 or so, and then now you'll see some serious weakness in the US dollar. So that's just looking at those two. I think I had the daily Aussie, whereas I want to say that this is the end of wave C, and where I count a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a possible 5 for 1. If not, the wave 1 could come more towards 75, 80 or so. And if that's the case, well, then you'll see a wave 2 that's more likely to go back towards 79. This could be 3 waves here, and maybe this will be wave 4, but it looks too impulsive to be a wave 4. Which basically, if that was the case, this would be the wave B at the bottom. You'll have 3, then you would have A, B, basically, and then C for 4, and then you would expect prices to go above 180, 183, 184 or so. But right now, as a primary, I'm gonna label my daily as this being done. And if you look at it on the weekly time frame, you would see that this will be wave 3. This was A, this is a B, and then this will be the C or 4, and you'll be basically saying that the dollar is going to get strong and it's working on its way. If it is not wave 4 at the top, well, then you would expect one more high that'll be possibly near 182, a high 181, and then you'll see dollar strength. So keep that in mind. These are just their counts at the end of the day, so there's no guarantee what the market is going to do. It's going to do what it's going to do. So when it takes its place and I find an area of where I feel comfortable and I can risk and I can manage my risk, then I'll take the trade. Until then, everything else is just speculating. Here's a Euro Aussie. I took this up. I said last week that this would be a ending diagonal for wave 1, and it did. It did just that. It ended, and I actually waited for it to pull back a little bit, and I went short. But I'm not, I'm not too comfortable with going short on a market that's clearly long. So as you can see, I ended up when I traded small, and I've already locked in a lot of my pips. In fact, I may get popped out at any given time. But if this is a 1, well, you should expect the 2 to come back more down towards 144. And with that being said, the next long-term buy would be inside the Ichimoku cloud somewhere here if this holds support. And if it does, well, then you would expect prices to go from this level or 142 or so, which is 0.618, and it will be making its way towards 160. So for a long-term trade, this appears to be a great long-term. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye out on the Euro Aussie. And let's move on to. I think I missed this one. It's possible this is the New Zealand dollar. Excuse me. I guess I'm getting a little sick, but I don't even think I may be already in this trade. Let's see. Yeah, I'm in just a little bit, but I did go long with a tight stop. If this is the 4 here, well then you have a 1, 2, and this will be 3 of 3 possibly. Whereas if you'll be working on a up for 4 of 3, and then 0.5 of 3 would probably be more towards 66 or so. So this will be a short scalp for me if it was to go up. And if it was to go up, it should find resistance at about 70, 71 or so. So about 100 ticks to a scalp or so. So the long term is still to the downside. So that's another dollar pair that's strength of dollar. And last thing I'm gonna look at is the pound. That's the pound dollar. I think I also went long on this one, expecting it to find some resistance near about 132.15 or so. I have a very tight stop as well because if you have it, if this is the end of wave 4 at the top, I can't count 5 waves here, but I can count 3. So this will be a 1, 2, or this will be the 1 here. Then this is a 2, this is a 1, 2, then this will have to be a 3 basically. And this will be a 4, and then you have a 1, 2, basically 3, then 4, and then you need a 5 basically to end wave 3, which would be a little bit lower than the current low here. But at the end of the day, this particular pattern has not really presented itself greatly on the daily, so I'm gonna let that play out. And if it does go up, once prices break 131 or 132, my stop will be raised heavily, and I'll be looking eventually to short the market again. That's all I have for this Sunday. This is just some markets that I'm looking at and keeping an eye out on. I think the only other one that I'm currently in is the EURAUD, I think. But this particular pair, I have this as an A, and then either a B with an alternate A, or a C with an alternate B, and then a 1, a W, X, Y for 2, or a triangle, as you can see my alternates. So the triangle will be A, B, C, D, and then you have an A here, A, B, C for B, and then you should have C, basically of E, which will most likely come down to around give or take 141. That's if my alternate. On the flip side, if it's not my alternate and it is a 2, well then you have a 1, 2 basically, and now prices need to still come more towards the X for wave 3. So I'm small this one because I'm not sure exactly what to count it, but I did start off small, and if it continues down and it breaks some of the support levels, I'll add on as I see a pullback. That's gonna do it. I don't want to keep these markets, keep it too long. I think the only one I think I'm testing out the I am testing out the pound yen, but it's not as clear as I would like it to be yet. So I will, as I get something better, I would post that then. But most likely I'll have some more analysis tomorrow. I'm expecting a reversal most likely on Tuesday. We got non-farm payroll coming up on Friday, and you have a lot of red reports. So I expect prices to do some swinging here and there, or be just about nothing up until those reports, and then make its move on Friday. So I will be posting pretty much 3 to 4 days this week. So be on the lookout. Other than that, happy trading.